Good news if you're a Buffalo Bill player. Your toes will continue to be sucked by the NFL media and your fanboys as you get the big win there. But for our purposes, the better story is in the losing locker room. So that's where the drama is. That's where the finger pointing is. And that's where we go right now. So thumbs up or thumbs down on the statement going around that this loss has to make us reassess the Rams. Does this loss make you reassess the Rams? So I am going thumbs down on that one. Thumbs down. I've got eyedroppers, a bad first date, and kryptonite. And we will combine all of these random things together, and we are going to make some heartburn medicine. Which anybody who's a Ram backer needs at this point after that performance. Now, to kick off, all right, the Rams look terrible. And I'm not here to sugarcoat that and say, offensively was really the issue here for the Rams. Just dreadful, but they will figure it out. So there's no sugarcoating here. The loss is sending shockwaves around the NFL. It's like a Shakespearean drama, a Greek tragedy. But not because of what the Bills did. The Bills were sloppy. I was not overly impressed with Buffalo. It was what the Rams didn't do. That's where the story is. And don't misconstrue what some of these other talking heads and these bozos in the media toss out. The story here is with Sean McVay. Sean McVay, he can write the book. He can author the book on offensive football. The mastermind of the modern incarnation of modern football offensively. Created the cradle of coaches with the Rams. How many coaches were touched by Sean McVay and are now head coaches around the NFL? So he's accomplished amazing things in his short tenure as head coach. But what have you done for me lately? The Rams were being blinded by the Lombardi Trophy. They had the big celebration there before the game, and immediately people pivoting away from Sean McVay because of this. Those demonic powers have left Sean McVay. The Rams offensively had 10 points. 10 points in this game. 243 yards of offense, and that's even misleading because they got 113 of those yards in the fourth quarter. And a lot of those even after the Bills had gotten a couple of touchdowns in the fourth to have separation in this game. But the Rams, to have a Ram offense average 3.7 yards per play, and they took 66 offensive snaps. You know what that reminds us of? That's a throwback. That's a throwback to the barf bag that was Jeff Fisher when he was coaching Rams football. And Matthew Stafford, he did not answer the critics. He went out. He was wobbly. He made some mistakes in this game. Cooper Kupp was great. He was the only missile the Rams had on offense. And all these other receivers look like D1 AA players, junior varsity. Regardless of that, I am not writing the eulogy on the 2022 Rams season, and neither should you unless you want to wear the dunce cap later on. And McVay will figure this out. He's going to pass out eyedroppers and warm water eyedroppers there and flush out everyone's eyes who witnessed that. Because as bad as the Rams played, again, they can't play any worse than that. It was a one-score game against the greatest team in the history of football, Buffalo. The Buffalo Rome, right? And it was a 17-10 game going to the fourth quarter. Now, the defense had a couple more mistakes in the fourth quarter. But they did also show that the Ram defense here, that they're a ball-hawking unit. And Bills Mafia, the great Buffalo Bills, turned the ball over 4 times. You go on the road, turn the ball over 4 times, you typically get burned by that. And the Rams on this day were unable to capitalize. 4 Bills turnovers, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions. And the Rams, despite those gifts by the Bills, they only got 1 field goal out of it. That's it. You got to take those turnovers and get touchdowns. The Rams did not do that. Now, furthermore, if you're looking for a fall guy for the Rams, well, that's like shooting fish in a barrel, right? 95% of the Ram offense sucked at a time you cannot suck. It was blood-curdling bad offensive football. Nevertheless, though, if we had to pick one fall guy, and that's the premise of the question, well, there's only one that you can go to, and that's Allan Robinson. What are you doing?
You got to have a fall guy.
Come on. You're not with the Bears anymore, okay? You don't have to play like that, okay? You're not in Chicago anymore. You're on a good team now. Allan Robinson, my God. Do we need an intervention? No, Sean McVay ultimately takes the blame because this team was not prepared to play the game. But Allan Robinson, the highly coveted pass catcher from Chicago, and you talk about a bad first date with your new lover. Oh, my God. And hornswoggled, hoodwinked, bamboozled, all of that. This better be just a false open here because Robinson, he ended up ghosting the Ram offense, and they didn't even try to throw him the ball. Was he not able to get open? You'd think that he would be featured as a solid veteran number 2 receiver, but the Rams only targeted him twice the entire game. He had one catch for 12 yards, which is a kick in the nuts. And how much of that was the Bills' defense and how much of that was Robinson not prepared to get the job done? Now, the good news for Allan Robinson, Sean McVay, and the bag of feces that was the Rams in this particular game, they have the perfect vaccine, the magic elixir to sucking. And that is the Atlanta Falcons, who are the next opponent for the Rams in week number 2. Now, we will revisit this. Should the Rams lose to the Falcons, we will then sound the alarm bells. But that's a great feel-good game against the Falcons where you work out the kinks in that game. But the Rams for years have been able to get by with Sean McVay where they don't play anybody in exhibition games and they don't work out some of the bumps, if you will. And it certainly looked like that Ram team needed 7 practice football games the way they play. What have they been doing? Playing tiddlywinks in training camp? Like, that was pathetic. That was bad. And they still had a chance it was a 1-score game. As bad as they played, they still had a shot going to the fourth quarter. It's craziness. All right, parting shot on this. So we'll turn the story over to the winning locker room, which is not as good here. And so right now we are in the middle of rose petals raining down wherever Josh Allen walks, the Buffalo quarterback, who I believe has won the MVP after one game. He's the first one-game MVP in the NFL. No. So are you in and out on the talk that Josh Allen, based on this performance, is indefensible? So I am out on that. Listen, Josh Allen has blossomed in Buffalo, and he is clearly proven to be one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. He's much better than we expected on this show, and he has worked at his craft. We give him credit for that. He's improved his accuracy, and that's something that has rarely happened in the last 2 decades of the NFL that has happened. Still, I'm going to put my foot down here. The idea that he is indefensible is poppycock is what it is, all right? Do not be a prisoner of the moment. Last season, in the breakout year for Josh Allen, and he had some masterful performances, he also had some tremendous stinkers. And the definition of indefensible is not having multiple stinkers. Remember, Josh Allen, God's gift to the quarterback position last year, lost to Jacksonville, the worst team in the sport last year, and had no touchdowns and 2 interceptions against Jacksonville. He also had a stinker against the Atlanta Falcons last year. And in this game, against the Rams defense, which is thought to be just a middle-of-the-pack Ram defense this year. They don't have Von Miller anymore. He's playing for the Bills. And the Rams had 2 interceptions of Allen. Now, one of them was a clear bounce off the Bills receiver, and it was a ricochet situation, but those actually count. The NFL hasn't changed the rule. They haven't put team interception. It still counts as an interception on Josh Allen's resume. So using some MALLER math on this, the indefensible quarterback, Josh Allen, is on pace, 17-game season, 2 interceptions, 2 times 17. You can do the math on that. That works out to 34 interceptions this season if he continues this particular pace. You also have to keep an eye out on the kryptonite. Allen's style of play will have a limited shelf life, and he's in that same category of quarterback like Lamar Jackson. We talk about Lamar, and we'll talk more about him later as we're heading towards the witching hour for Lamar and his contract talks with the Ravens. But that type of quarterback, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, human pinatas. And it's fun while it lasts. Everyone gets a swing, and you're taking all those hits. It's engaging. It's entertaining to watch. But you end up under the big top, the NFL's version of the big top, which is the injury tent. And be very careful, Bills Mafia, because you are a broken foot away. You are a knee ligament tear away from the full Case Keenum experience. That's the backup option there in Buffalo, and all those Buffalo Bills Super Bowl tickets will go up in flames at that particular point. But listen, the Bills are going to win a bunch of games, but they're not a lock by any means to get the Super Bowl. The AFC is loaded. The Bills are a wagon, but there's a bunch of wagons in the AFC. Kansas City is stacked. You go down the list here of top teams in the AFC. Most of the great teams are in the AFC. So I maintain, despite as dreadful as the final score was for the Rams, and they can't play much worse than that, the Rams still have an easier path to the Super Bowl because they're in the NFC. And you're on the right side of the aisle when it comes to down the line. And the Bills are going to have to get through a demilitarized zone in the AFC playoffs down the line.